If you own an e-commerce brand, you're a dropshipper or a small business owner promoting your products or services online, then stick around. In this video, we'll be taking a deep look into 7 tried and tested psychological and persuasive techniques which will help you make your ads more engaging. There's going to be plenty of visual references to actual ads, so you'll be able to apply the knowledge we learn here right off the bat. Let's jump right in. Number 1. Creating a knowledge gap in the hook of your video. Let me ask you this. What is curiosity? We all know how it feels like and how engaged we are when we do feel curious, but how can you create this curiosity consistently? Well, psychologically speaking, curiosity happens when we feel a gap in our knowledge. These knowledge gaps cause us mental pain. When we want to know something that don't, it's like having an itch that you want to scratch. Like, for example, if I ask you to solve a riddle for me, if you don't keep me and I'll break, what am I? Do you know what it is? See, posing questions like this is one way of creating that itch, but there are other simple storytelling techniques that work quite well. Like, for example, giving your customer a puzzle to solve or challenging them to predict an outcome. By the way, if you're still thinking about that puzzle, then let me just tell you right now, it's a promise. If you don't keep me, I'll break. What am I? It's a promise. Moving on. Now, let's have a look at a couple of examples where this knowledge gap is created right from the beginning of the video in order to create some engagement. The first ad is from a company called Chirp, and let's play through the first 10 seconds to see what happens.
Gah!
Is that what your back is saying right now?
Roll away the pain on the Chirp wheel.
This ad leads with the problem, which is very acute, meaning that people who have back pain can identify the problem really quickly. What they do here is say that their product is the solution, but they don't demonstrate right away how it resolves their problem, therefore creating a gap in the customer's knowledge. For the right kind of customer, the kind of customer that has back pain right now, this particular knowledge gap needs to be filled right away. Therefore, it would hook them into watching the rest of the video and find out exactly what the solution is. Okay, and the next ad that we have here is from a body scrub product. It's called Frank Scrub, and let's see how they build curiosity from the very beginning of the ad. As we can see here, they open with a question. What does America say about Originals Coffee Scrub? Which in the mind of the customer actually creates 2 questions or 2 knowledge gaps. A, well, what does America say about this product? And then B, what is this original coffee scrub? For the right kind of person who's interested in scrubbing and looking after themselves, like my wife, for example, there is a real element of intrigue created by this. Following that, the visuals that they use also don't reveal right off the bat exactly what this product is. As you can see from the second example, you don't always have to have big budgets or big studio productions to create a very good knowledge gap. You just have to have a very good understanding of your audience and what kind of questions will build curiosity in their minds. And moving on to the second way to make your ads more engaging, show your product early and often. Okay, think back here. Put yourself in your customer's shoes for a second. When you're scrolling through your feed, are you actively looking for a new product to buy? Or are you on social media to do social media stuff, like catch the news, see what's new with your friends, maybe find some funny videos to pass the time? I think the answer here is obvious. So when a potential customer does come across your ad, chances are that most of them will more than likely pass up and skip within the first few seconds. And that's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just the nature of the platform. Most people don't want to be advertised to most of the time. Interestingly enough, however, across the board, when producing ads with Silk Social, we found that video ads which show the product and the brand within the first 3 to 5 seconds have higher engagement rate, better click-through rate, and higher ROAS, which probably comes down to something a lot more primitive than the Facebook algo. It's called integrity. I mean, just think about it for a second. Would you like it if someone treated you to a coffee, maybe got you a little gift, apparently for no particular reason whatsoever, just to learn a couple of moments later that they're in fact trying to sell you something? That's a horrible feeling, isn't it? If you've ever been in a situation, it's not nice. So by starting your ad with a cool or flashy sequence that's unrelated to your product, you're essentially giving your potential customer a small psychological gift of entertaining. entertainment rather. And if it really doesn't relate to the product that you're trying to sell, then your potential customers would feel like they've just been cheated into watching your ad. So try to avoid this. When making 15 to 30 second ads especially, try to show your product or brand early and often. I would show you an example of this particular case and scenario, but literally any good ad that you ever come across, well, at least 90 or 80% of them will start off with the product in the very beginning. Just go on any Facebook ad library and you will find out exactly what I mean. Any successful one, that is. Which brings me to my next point, which is the sponsor of this video. It's a crowd called Adbox, and what Adbox does is consolidates a bunch of different ads from different agencies and marketers from all across the world in one centered place. It's an absolutely amazing platform to A, find some inspiration, and B, check out what the competition are doing. If you go to sign up now and use the code SILK10, you will actually get 10% off of your monthly subscription. We'll leave a link down below, so be sure to check out Adbox at meetadbox.com. And moving on to point number 3, attract the right kind of customer with your hook. See, the purpose of your hook is to pick people out you can interest the most. Now, why is this important? Well, even with Facebook's precise algorithm, the size of your top of funnel audience can be anywhere from 10 to 50 or even 50 million rather, or even more, which is a lot of people. And do you think all of them will be interested in your product? No, of course not. But that's okay, because a very small percentage of those people will be very interested in the product that you are selling. And on Facebook and Instagram, customers decide within the first few seconds whether a video is worth watching or not. If you're not specific about who you're trying to target in your hook, the people who are most interested in your product may not even get the chance to discover it. Let me say that again. If you're not specific about who you're trying to target in the hook of your video, then the people who may be most interested in your product may not even get a chance to discover it. This is why starting your video with your product or with the most important benefit is so crucial to making your ad more engaging. Avoid being vague and unspecific. Your ad should start selling with specific detail from the very first second. Now, let's have a look at a couple of examples here, and you tell me, which one do you think is more engaging to you?
Yeah, rolling.
Did you check? Is it still rolling? My wife, she's making sure the whole show is being kept afloat here. Still rolling? Okay. Okay, still going. Now, going back to the ads. So let's have a look at the first example that we have here. 80% of medicine cabinets contain potentially harmful chemicals. Gross. Why would you allow that? I mean, guys, look, we're 15 seconds in before we actually see the product or what this whole ad is about. Let me ask you this. You're scrolling through your feed, right? And you come across this ad. And the first thing that you see is this general statement about your cabinet. Is that going to hook you in? You're going to want to see more? I don't want to judge here. But I think a far better job could have been done in this particular case. Now, let's have a look at our second example. So this is a video by Huel. Let's have a look what they did.
Huel Ready to Drink makes my mornings so much less stressful. I don't know where my mornings go. More often...
There you go. Within the first 4 seconds. A, you see the product. B, you see the person that you're trying to appeal to. Clearly a fitness type of personality or person, so you know who this is for. And C, she says that her mornings are made less stressful. Wait, let me just go back. What did you say exactly? Huel Ready to Drink makes my mornings so much less stressful. So within the first 3 seconds, we know A, who this is for, B, what the product is, and C, what the product does. It makes your mornings less stressful. As the ad unfolds, it illustrates how it makes the mornings less stressful, but it doesn't give away everything from the very beginning, which goes back to our earlier point about creating curiosity. Okay, and moving on to point number 4, appeal to your customers' self-interests. My wife tells me this phrase all the time, and it's one you should tattoo on the back of your mind. And it's this: no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. She's sitting behind there and she just drip feed me the line. I love it. Well, when it comes to selling your product, don't get caught in the trap of over communicating all the bells and whistles and features of your product, because no one cares about those features. All they want to know is how those features can translate into a benefit for them. What do we mean when we say benefit? Well, simply put, a benefit is a promise that you make and keep for your customer. An example of a benefit would be turn your shower into a sanctuary, or uplift your mood with Era. Or another one could be simplify your makeup routine. These are not features, these are promises. Using technical jargon only insiders understand is the quickest way for you to lose your customers' attention, and it's an easy trap to fall into, guys, especially if you know your product all too well. If you want to capture and keep customers' attention, then translate every product feature into a benefit that appeals to the customer's self-interest. Moving on to point number 5, keep your titles consistent with your visuals. The text overlaid on top of your video, these are called titles. Titles which reinforce what's being shown on screen, increase engagement, and help communicate your benefits more efficiently. Why? It's because, well, seeing something written down and then seeing a visual sequence of that same thing creates stronger associations in the brain, which makes it easier for your customer to remember the ideas you're trying to present to them. Never show a title that does not directly relate to the visuals that are being shown on screen. This will confuse the customer and they'll end up forgetting both the title and the visuals. And as Daniel Harmon, the Chief Creative Officer of the Harmon Brothers, says, the confused customer never buys. Point number 6, make your copy specific and factual. Try to avoid exaggerations, generalizations, and cliches. Nothing gets the thumb to scroll up quicker than a broad statement about your once-in-a-lifetime offer or revolutionary new product. How do you know if it's a cliche or if it's too general? Well, if it sounds like something you may have heard on a direct TV sales ad about 20 years ago or so, then it's more than likely a cliche. Be specific and factual with your copy and let your visuals do all the finessing. But bear in mind, you don't have to be boring either. In the words of famous David Ogilvy right here, tell the truth, but make the truth fascinating. Take the new iPhone 12 ad as an example. Although the copy is specific and factual, for every title there is a very strong visual sequence which communicates a clear benefit or promise for the potential iPhone users. This turns the fun new iPhone fact into an extraordinary benefit for the customer. Do this and your engagement will soar. And moving on to the last and final point, create a feeling of involvement or ownership with your ads. Let me tell you a quick story here. There's an electronics salesman way back in the day who consistently outperformed all of his colleagues. But it wasn't his sales technique per se which made him so effective. It was how he chose whom he was going to sell to, which made him so successful. Now, if you notice the prospect turn the knobs on the TV, bear in mind this was, as I said, way back in the day before they had remote controls for TVs, he knew that he had about 50% chance of closing that sale. If the prospect didn't turn the knobs, well, he knew he only had about a 10% chance. So what's the takeaway from the story? Well, people are more likely to buy things they feel they own or they can easily imagine owning. Psychologically speaking, this is called the endowment effect. It's a tendency for us to overvalue things that we own ourselves. Although video ads can put the product into your customers' hands, they should aim to make the potential customer imagine they're holding or using the product you are advertising to. In a Facebook ad we produced for one of our clients recently, we created a perfect scenario of someone who had already purchased the product that we were promoting. We used copy and visuals which made the viewer feel as though they were experiencing the benefit of the product themselves, showing the product being put to use by someone who's sort of an ideal figure for the target audience and experiencing all the benefits of the product features. As a takeaway, if you can show your product being put to use by an aspirational figure representing your target audience, then you're much more likely to increase your ad engagement. And that's a wrap for today, guys. If you like this content and would like to see more on creating better e-commerce ads, writing more potent copy, and just being an overall better communicator with your customers, then please consider subscribing to our channel. We got content coming out every week. Hope this brought you some value and will make your ads way more engaging. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.